Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, March 19th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, Matt Robinson with you, ready to break down the Thursday NHL card. Obviously, this is a unique day to be doing this show in the middle of the afternoon because it's obviously, for those of you interested in college basketball, it's March Madness. It's the NCAA tournament. We got games going on all day, all night, and certainly I've got them all on in front of me. But like I said, I'm a professional host, so I will maintain focus, and we will give you a quality show as we always do, breaking down every Thursday NHL game. Looking forward to it. It's a very big and very good Thursday card, so we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, as always, looking back on last night, which, some good, some bad. Last night was hoping for a little bit better results with a couple of the games for sure, but it is what it is. It's definitely been a grind, post-Olympic break for sure. One of the good results was New Jersey and the New York Rangers very easily cashing the over by Fecta in that game. Devils get a 6-3 victory over the New York Rangers. Kind of what I expected, pond hockey back and forth. Devils getting the victory, deserving the victory too. They outshot the Rangers 39-18 in that game, getting a 6-3 win. So pretty easy win there with the over by Fecta in that game. Very disappointing from Ottawa. We liked Ottawa last night against Washington, and the moment they got out of that first period, the Capitals scoreless, I felt they dodged a bullet in the first period because Ottawa was totally dominating the opening period. They could have had a couple of goals on the board. It was a spectacular game from Logan Thompson. He was terrific in net all night. It seemed like he was on top of everything last night. It was going to take a lot for Ottawa to score against him, and Capitals didn't have a ton of chances. But they got a good bounce, a fortuitous bounce for Ovechkin's goal that made it 1-0. And then, of course, Tom Wilson added to it 2-0. And then Stützle got them within one with the extra attacker. But Alexei Protas puts it into the empty net. And how about the great moment? And I had lost my Ottawa bet by then anyway, so even I was happy to see it. Cole Hudson called up in the lineup, first NHL game last night. They make sure he gets the puck so he can put it into the empty net. To make it 4-1. So great moment for Cole Hudson. I know it's only an empty net goal, but who cares? It's your first NHL goal. It's still special. And he had a hell of a game. For your first NHL game, he didn't look one bit out of place. Making the right reads, making great plays with the puck. It looks like another Hudson brother that's going to be a pretty good defenseman maybe in this league for a long time. So Washington with a big 4-1 win, costly defeat for Ottawa. They're back in action tonight at home against the New York Islanders, a team they've got to try to catch for a playoff spot. Speaking of disappointing, Pittsburgh, Carolina, I missed that game. What a crazy game this was. 6-5 Carolina in a shootout. Back and forth it went. I believe now for the Penguins, that's 7 or 8 straight games for them that have gone over the total. So they have become really an over machine of late. Another high-scoring affair in Sidney Crosby's return. He got them going with their first goal, the Penguins, to tie that game 1-1. Back and forth it went. It was actually a terrific game for Erik Karlsson. This is one of the better games I've seen him play for Pittsburgh. It was just a wild back and forth affair. Carolina took the 4-3 lead. Karlsson and Kindle scored 2 goals in 23 seconds to give Pittsburgh a 5-4 lead. And then K'Andre Miller ties it with under 3 minutes to go at 5-5. And then Sean Walker in overtime with about 30 seconds left. 6-5 win for Carolina. But again, Pittsburgh pulling out a point from this game. And every point's significant. I know Alex had a piece of the draw here with Penguins-Canes. A very entertaining game for sure. And again, the goaltending lately for Carolina is becoming a greater concern. I mean, Bussey hasn't been great since the Olympic break, and you saw last night with Frederik Andersen, he's still not someone that you fully trust with the season he's had. So, like I said, there's some goaltending issues right now that would raise some concerns if I'm a Hurricanes fan. St. Louis, this is a bad loss. This is a disappointing loss. And if not for 3 successful challenges from Jim Montgomery to take Calgary goals off the board, it could have been worse. But they got outplayed in the first period. They couldn't finish their chances. And just a disappointing setback. I know they got a point, and Calgary ended up winning 2-1 in a shootout. But, they had made up so much ground and gotten themselves back into the mix. But you can't in a spot like that. You got to get the 2 points. You got to get the win. It's that simple. You got a Calgary team coming off a long ass road trip in the East, and to not win that game, it's a bad loss. That's all there is to it, and it's a costly loss, because St. Louis can't afford that. They already have a tough task as it is to try to make the playoffs and get and to not get 2 points out of that game was a bad job there by the Blues and a tough step back after taking so many steps forward, getting back into it. Speaking of steps forward, a shootout win 2-1 for the Dallas Stars last night gives them a little step forward toward possibly tracking down Colorado and winning the Central Division, but the gap tightens to just 2 points now after that victory. Jake Ottinger was superb. I couldn't believe some of the nonsense that I've seen, that there's still people that don't fully trust Jake Ottinger, and he answers the bell there with a very good performance last night in that game. Wedgwood at the other end was really good. I know Dallas didn't have as many shots, but he had to face some really good chances, and he made a couple of great saves as well for the Avs. A bounce-back performance from him after he got the hook against Pittsburgh. We lost the overs, unfortunately. The over train with Dallas, Colorado did come to an end last night. First period under, full game under. I guess because Colorado gave up 7, that was, I guess, a little concern you would have about it being a higher scoring game. Colorado would look to maybe play a little tighter, and they sure did last night. They didn't give Dallas a whole lot. You could tell they were not happy with their defensive game against Pittsburgh, and it ended up being a first under in 6 regular season games between them. But Dallas gets the victory in a shootout, 2-1, and like I said, that gap tightens between the Stars and the Avs for first in the Central. And then a nice win for Philly. We got first goal, first period with the Flyers. Alex and I both like that. They got on the board in the first 3 minutes. Leo Carlsson ties the game at 2 late in the third, but Noah Cates wins it in overtime for the Philadelphia Flyers and gives them a 3-2 win. Anaheim to get a point is a good thing. Kind of a tough spot for the Flyers. They'd been on the road a long time. It was their first home game after the road trip, but to at least get a point out of that when you didn't play your best, that's good for the Anaheim Ducks, because for them every point matters as they try to solidify a playoff spot and remain in first in the Pacific Division and try to fend off Vegas and Edmonton. Alex, your thoughts on what we saw last night?
Last night was absolutely exciting, and when we talked about right at the end of the Olympics, and we're saying, everybody stick around, keep watching hockey, because you're going to have some great nights where you're going to see some playoff-like games. That's pretty much what it was all across the board last night. 6 games, 4 of them going past regulation. Draw season's alive and well. And the biggest game of all was that Pittsburgh-Carolina game, in my opinion. That, of course, Dallas-Colorado was huge too, but Pittsburgh-Carolina in that third period, at no point in time was I ever worried about that draw losing, because you just felt the momentum and energy of that game. If you watch that game, okay, we go through all the shit with stat trackers and listening to it. This was a game, if you had 2 eyeballs on a screen or in that building for the last 20 minutes of regulation in that contest, you felt that it was going to be ping pong hockey back and forth all the way through. And that's exactly what it was. And it was fucking entertaining. And it was just as entertaining to watch that game that went 6-5 in overtime as it was watching that Dallas game that ended 2-1. Because the defense was just absolutely insane in that contest. It felt like a game 7. Like I said, at the second period, we knew, all right, our over bets are dead. But this is some damn good hockey right now.
I still love the game. I didn't love losing those bets, but I love the game.
No.
We got to stop with the notion that a 2-1 game is a boring hocky game. That was a terrific game.
It was not. It was not. Like you said, Wedgwood played his ass off. Ottinger made some incredible saves late in that game for it to even go into overtime. That really could have been Colorado winning that in regulation if it wasn't for some of the heroics of Ottinger late in the third period. So, I mean, just fantastic hockey. Even when you have teams that are, I think we can finally say now for some of these teams like Ottawa and St. Louis, like, the time's running up, right? It's close out your tab, finish up your drinks, and get the hell out the bar, basically, before the playoffs start. And that's kind of the way that they played last night. And and that's the thing. We're seeing the separation now. We're starting to see where Dallas and Colorado look even again. We're starting to see where Carolina's a little step ahead of Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh, especially with Sidney Crosby back, they have a fighting chance. That's a team you don't want to draw in a 7-game series, in my opinion. And I never thought we'd be saying that. I thought we'd be talking about Pittsburgh, getting ready for the draft at this time of the year when you asked us in October. But this is a team now where they're going to be a pesky out. As long as Crosby's healthy, you've got Stuart Skinner, who as much as we shit on him, remember this is a guy who has played in 2 Stanley Cup Finals back-to-back years, has played in a lot of important, meaningful hockey games. Him and Crosby and Malkin and Letang are probably with the top 4 as far as we talk about playoff experience. Of course, those 3 winning cups and being part of that legacy. But you add in a Stuart Skinner to the mix. He's a guy who has a lot deeper of a playoff portfolio than a Brandon Bussey. He has a lot deeper of a portfolio than any of the 2 goalies that are going to be starting for Buffalo. So that's a team that you really want to be careful drawing in a best-of-7 series.
Yeah, well said. Absolutely, no question. And Pittsburgh, I'm going to lose my Pittsburgh to miss the playoffs bet. I'm pretty sure I am. Although they're still 84. They've got there's still teams that are outside that could knock them out if Pittsburgh goes into a slump, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that now I am a little concerned about Skinner and Shelovs. They've been winning in spite these guys being average, in net. Both of them lately have been that way, and they have been giving up chances. And I don't love their defensive game at the moment, but they're scoring. They can definitely put the puck in the net, Pittsburgh, and that combination is why they've been such an over machine lately for sure as well. But like I said, it was a great night of hockey, and draw season is alive and well, ladies and gentlemen. 6 games last night, 4 of them go to overtime or a shootout. I'm just pissed I was only on 2 of them. I only had the draw with Dallas, Colorado, and with Philly and Anaheim.
Great call by you on Philly, Anaheim, though.
Yes.
That game was screaming draw pretty much after the first period. So.
Yeah, no doubt. So, but I wish I had some of that Pittsburgh, Carolina one. That was the one I was considering, and I didn't bet. But still, 4 out of the 6 games. That's why the draw season, man. You can. I mean, how are those people feeling now that always chide us, Alex in particular, about all the draw bets that he recommends on the show? How are you feeling now after a night like last night?
Broke.
Broke and miserable. Broke and miserable. Yeah, exactly.
Betrayed.
You got to be miserable to complain about something like that. But anyway, that's another story. Matt, good to see you. I know you're feeling it and feeling happy about a big Dallas win last night. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a good game. Overall, last night, really just tuned into the TNT games, didn't catch much action in anything else. Kind of hit the same game parlay in the Devils Rangers and then missed it in the Stars game. So kind of a wash of a night, if you will. But yeah, that Colorado Dallas game was electric. I saw people mentioning it took Dallas 17 minutes to get a shot on goal. It wasn't for lack of action. I mean, both these teams played such good defensive hockey, keeping stuff out of the front of the net. I know Colorado outshot Dallas right around 2-1 in the game, but both teams had chances. Both goalies played well. I'm not sitting here saying Dallas outplayed Colorado. I don't think that at all. But Dallas is comfortable playing sort of that, we'll take advantage of our chances when we get them. There's been games this year, Dallas has won 5-1, getting outshot 2-1. So that's sort of the style they're comfortable playing. There's a few situations where Colorado got Dallas kind of running around, stuck out there for a couple minutes where things got a little hectic. Obviously, that power play goal by Makar was a nice setup, but it was very similar to that Minnesota-Chicago overtime the other night where Dallas's PK guys were just out of gas, and Colorado's got so much speed and moves the puck so well. Eventually that was going to end up being a goal. But outside of that, they contained them well. Both teams. I mean, it was one of the more physical regular season games I've seen, maybe all season, maybe beyond all season. You could tell, both teams are aware of what's on the line, what they're playing for. Neither team, if they can avoid it, either team would rather play an 8 seed that slips in than play Minnesota that's bolstered their team. I do think both of those 2 teams kind of showed they're the top dogs, and everyone else is behind them, and the gap there, that's dependent on viewpoints. And at least speaking about the West, I know the East has some high-end teams as well, but it truly seemed like those 2 teams were right there in the mix. And I'd love to see a 7-game series between these 2 teams. As a Stars fan, I'd prefer it to be after a nice, easy first round series. And not to say any playoff series is easy, but I think there's easier options, depending on where you land. And especially because that 8th seed is still up for grabs. There's still 3 or 4 teams that could potentially end up in that 8th spot. But yeah, great game. I mean, I think, if you're an Avs fan, you leave that game saying, wow, this is an exciting matchup. I know Stars fans don't like Avs fans and vice versa, but I felt like there was a lot of tweets and stuff that was just like, holy shit, that was an electric regular season game. It did feel like a game 7 or even like a game 3 in a series where that's tied 1-1 to see who's going to really make that jump and take advantage. So it's good to see Dallas win. I said before the shootout, I hate teams getting a point in the shootout. I would have, paid money to see another 5 minutes of 3-on-3. I've always been a proponent of a 10-minute 3-on-3. I think if you look at most games, I think you'd get a goal like 90% of the time, and it would eliminate some of the shootouts. But all 3 games have gone to a shootout. Dallas has been fortunate enough to win 2 of the 3. And
I
so
think the reason they don't do 10 minutes for overtime is because the back-to-back factor, especially because of some of these games, the teams playing the very next night. I get that's probably the concern with extending it to 10. I don't hate it though. I don't hate the idea of extending it to 10 minutes for overtime, because anything that lessens the amount of shootouts we have is a good thing in my mind.
I'm so sick of this whole narrative back and forth, because you got all these people saying 3-on-3 hockey is not real hockey. Yeah. The shootouts are not real hockey. You can't have fucking Stanley Cup overtime rules in the regular season when, like you said, teams have to travel and play back-to-back, 3 and 4, 5 and 8, and all these other crazy condensed situations we have because we had an Olympics this year. I'm so sick of this shit. I've been seeing this on Twitter now since the Olympics is when it really ramped up. It's like you have to have some sort of fucking variant. You can't have just one or the other. And like I said, we're not going to go 20 minutes 5-on-5 in the regular season. Like, you have to have these games end at some point. People got to flip a coin and choose one or the other. Either you want the 3-on-3, or you want the shootout, or you want the hybrid that we have right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Can't have everything.
Yeah, no doubt. And Ian, to your point, that's definitely the reason is fatigue factor. They want to protect the players. I just think, you look at last night, I think somebody scores in the next minute or 2 of that game. I mean, there was 8 chances in the last 2 minutes on both ends. Great defensive.
It did feel that way. Give these teams another 3 to 5 minutes and someone was scoring and ending that game. I agree.
Yeah. And I mean, especially like that overtime, there's very few whistles. So, I mean, you've got guys like Makar and Miro Heiskanen out there, changing and then back out there in 30 seconds. There's not a lot of break time. It's obviously a possession game, but you're taking your chances. So, all in all, great game. Always nice when a TNT broadcast game, you get the nice high scoring affair in the first game with 2 non-playoff teams, and then you get sort of a playoff battle at in the evening card. So, overall good night of hockey. We've got a lot of basketball on today, so there may be a few more passes than normal in this 11-game card, but I do have some looks I like tonight. And excited to get into it.
Yeah, we're going to play with the I'm trying to think, what's the fastest paced team in this NCAA tournament off the top of my head? Your Razorbacks are right up there as far as fastest pace. You're going to see St. Louis and Georgia tonight. That's going to be some pace. We're going to play at a St. Louis Billikens pace here on the Ice Guys show today. Yeah, we'll move briskly through this card, because even I'm excited to get back to watching the NCAA tournament. So with that in mind, let's get into it for this Thursday. And it's a great game to start. Montreal and Detroit. Big 2 points on the line here between these Atlantic Division foes. -110, even money, both sides. 6 the total here in this one. It is confirmed Jakub Dobeš going to get the start here for Montreal, which is interesting because since Jacob Fowler got recalled from the AHL, Marty St. Louis has been kind of going back and forth. Not the case, though. Jakub Dobeš, certainly we saw him get the victory last time out for the Habs, and going right back to the well here with Dobeš here for this big matchup against the Detroit Red Wings after Dobeš got the win against Boston in the 3-2 win the other night. Detroit, meanwhile, snapping a 3-game losing streak. Unlike St. Louis, you bastards, unlike St. Louis, taking care of the Calgary Flames as they should have. 5-2 a couple nights ago. But before that, obviously, it had been a struggle for the Red Wings, a Detroit team that's obviously lost, a couple of their centers as well. And it looks like Dylan Larkin and Andrew Kopp both still out for tonight for the Red Wings here in this game. I took Montreal here minus 110 in this game. I just feel like they got a win. It was a big win for them. Detroit has to prove it now with some of these injuries. And really, they got to prove it, period, against someone worth a shit. Because if you actually look at this schedule, the last 7 games for Detroit, 2-5. The 2 wins were New Jersey and Calgary. Big freaking deal. I mean, those also rans, those 2 teams. You got to show you can beat someone of quality. Detroit has not been able to do that during this stretch. So I'm going to jump in here at an even money price here with the Canadiens. A little positive momentum in their step following that big win against Boston. So I'll take the Habs here minus 110. But I love this draw just as much, if not more. I think it's a great draw situation. Obviously, points are at a premium here. Now, we did have a time where 4 straight games between these 2 teams had gone past regulation. And since then, we've had 6 straight that have not. But still, Detroit's had a couple overtime games in the last 10. Montreal as well. Still think we have draw potential here in this one. As far as the total, Dobish and Gibson could be a cagey game. Montreal rather, found their defensive game. Certainly stepped it up defensively in the win against Boston. I wouldn't be taking the over pregame. Maybe at 5.5, I'll bet it live, but certainly not pregame. Alex, what do you think here? Canadiens, Red Wings.
I love this draw. I actually grabbed this draw last night. Bet online. You can still get plus 315. Oh, sorry, 312 was best price available. I'm seeing with that. So definitely a spot. When you look back, you mentioned those games a couple of years ago. These 2 teams were playing back-to-back home-and-home series, fighting for their playoff lives, and both games going to overtime. I think we could have that kind of feel, this back and forth kind of a game, both teams desperately needing the points. And if it's close late, you're not going to see anybody really take a chance and go balls out and risk giving up a goal the other way and ending up with 0 points on the docket. So this is a draw that I like quite a bit, and I am on it plus 312.
One thing I want to mention, too, the last time, this might be one, too, where instead of anything over, no first period over, no full game over, but we've seen this a lot. Both teams want to mark their territory in these big games with big 2 points on the line. I don't hate the idea of both teams to score first period here in this game. Could see that. I don't love it, but, we've seen that a lot lately. We saw it with Montreal-Boston the other night. We've seen it a lot in these games where, it's big stakes on the line and then slowing down after that. So not the worst consideration in my mind for the first period, both teams to score. Matt, what do you think here? Montreal, Detroit.
I'm going to take a shot with Montreal. Detroit's injuries are affecting their play. Montreal obviously slightly in a better spot, but not really. These points matter to both teams. I could definitely agree with the draw here, but I think my main play is going to be Montreal on the money line.
Montreal money line here for Matt in this one. As far as props go, we do have Caulfield and Suzuki both having scored in 3 straight games for the Canadiens. So if you want to ride the wave, you can do that with both of them. They've certainly been in awesome form as far as finding the back of the net of late. And as far as, let me see what else we've got for Detroit here. You've got Raymond, Perron, Finney, the second line. You've got DeBrincat, Comfer, Kane as far as the top line is concerned. They moved John Leonard down. He was the player I was looking at toward possibly, but looks like he's down on the 4th line. Oliver Kapanen might be worth a shot too for Montreal. He's still centering the second line. All right, New York Islanders, Ottawa Senators. We've got Ottawa minus 130, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this one. Back-to-back for Ottawa, returning home after a disappointing 4-1 loss to the Washington Capitals last night. Islanders continuing their little trip through Eastern Canada. They won 3-1 in Toronto on Tuesday night, so they do have the rest advantage of the Islanders. It appears to be Ilya Sorokin here tonight for the New York Islanders in this one, although it hasn't been confirmed. James Reimer, it wouldn't shock me to see him play. They've been giving him starts lately on a back-to-back, Travis Green, so to see James Reimer in net wouldn't surprise me. Here again with Ottawa, they've had so many of these games, and last night, same thing. Outplay at Washington, outchance at Washington, outshoot Washington. Do you know how many games they've had this year? Tons Ottawa, and not get a win out of it, not get any points out of it. and it's happened too often, and it could be what ends up costing them a playoff spot at the end of the day. They're just not carrying the play, controlling the flow. They're not getting rewarded enough for their efforts. They're not turning those great efforts as a team where they've got the other team hemmed in. They're controlling the play. They've got the puck most of the time, and they're not converting it into goals enough. And it's costing them hockey games. And last night, it costed them a game, obviously at the worst time of year, because they can't afford to let points slip by the wayside. So I'm expecting Reimer too, Jonathan, but at the moment we don't have confirmation, but I do think it'll be him. Sorokin is expected here for the Islanders. I'm waiting for the goaltenders to be confirmed, so check the Patreon page, but I will be on the draw for sure. I mean, it definitely feels that way. It could be one of those games with the Islanders and the Senators. That's not necessarily a good thing for Ottawa because they're the team in the trail position trying to catch the Islanders for a playoff spot, but the Islanders certainly wouldn't mind it. That is for sure. And we have seen 4 of the last 10 games for the Islanders go past regulation. So still think that could be worth a look here in this one. Alex, Islanders, Sens.
Yeah, it's a draw spot, but that's not really what's sticking out to me most. I like the Isles in this one. And if it is Reimer confirmed, I'll add some team total over at flat 3. -102 is the price I see at MGM with that. But at plus $1.10, like I think this is the beginning of the end for Ottawa. And like I said, if they can hold on and grab a draw, I still don't think that's going to really, boost matters much as far as their playoff run. So I might grab a piece of that draw, but what I like more is the Owls to win here. And like I said, if it is Reimer confirmed, check Patreon, then I will add that team total as well.
On some of those power plays too, and that power play didn't come through for Ottawa last night. I kept thinking to myself, boy, do they miss Jake Sanderson right here, right now. He's a big component of that power play, quarterbacking it. There's no slight on Shabbat. Shabbat's doing the best he can. He's quarterbacked a power play a lot in his career, but you still miss a little something when Jake Sanderson's not out there. Now, Jake Sanderson's close to returning, but it isn't yet. He's still, I think, a few days away at the very least. And now they've also lost Nick Jensen on the blue line. He's undergone surgery that's going to keep him out indefinitely. So, the depth players on that blue line they're doing the best they can. Dennis Gilbert, Nick Montempalo, who's played a lot for Ottawa in the past, but they're definitely missing Jake Sanderson right now, especially on that man advantage. Matt, what do you think here in this game, Islanders, Senators?
I'm also on the Isles here. I jumped on a dog and team total split over 2.5, and then yesterday I got in on the over at 5.5 in this one. I just a good feeling, but yeah, I think the Isles. At this price, I think it's worth a shot. And yeah, that'll be it for me for this one.
Yeah, as far as I got to bet Heineman. Heineman is starting to heat up right now for this Islanders team, plus 350. Very good price. Scored in 2 of the last 5. Scored last game against Toronto as well. So that's worth a look. I would say maybe Richie as well. Warren Fogle had chances last night, so don't mind the idea of going back to him either. Pinto. Same thing. I think Pinto, someone in the chat said Pinto has had some success against the Islanders. But, yeah, those are a couple of the props here that I'd be targeting here in this one. All right, Winnipeg, Boston. Boston -140, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Bruins at home means I won't be betting against Boston. I don't think I'm going to be betting on Boston, though, either. I mean, Winnipeg, disappointing loss to Nashville at home the other night. But there's still a little glimmer of hope that they can make a late playoff push. I don't think they're going to get in, but they're not going to totally, let go of the rope until they fall further back. They're not at that point yet. I could see the Jets going on the road, giving Boston a good effort here. And, the Bruins lately, I think there's been some blemishes in their game. Even at home, they finally had the long home win streak snapped when they lost to San Jose. And of course on the road they continue to have some issues. We saw the loss to New Jersey the other night, and of course to Montreal on the back-to-back. This is now going to be a third game in 4 nights here for the Boston Bruins as well. So yeah, look, Bruins, I don't fade them at home, especially at prices like this, but I ain't going to be laying a -140 with the Bruins tonight either in this game. But what I will do is, I hate to be a broken record, third straight game to start the card, but draw. Yes. With Winnipeg and Boston. It's East versus West. Winnipeg's not going to care that the Bruins get a point and vice versa. here in this game. I think there's a very good potential we see this game go past regulation. You look at obviously what we've seen in recent form with the Jets and the Bruins. The Jets have gone to regulation gone past regulation a whopping 5 times in the last 10 games. And Boston is on a ridiculous 5 of the last 6 games going past regulation going into this one. So too many draw indicators to not bet the draw for me. Alex, what do you think here, Jets, Bruins?
Yeah, I do like this draw as well. Like you said, it's Boston needing the points. You worry about a team like Winnipeg that's, kind of like I said, teetering toward the falling out of the race. And maybe that this is, especially with Boston being such a strong home team, that they could just kind of run away with it. But it's definitely worth a sprinkle on the draw in this game. And like I said, maybe everything else I'd look for live. But this should be a spot where Boston, like I said, needing 2 points here, you definitely can't come away with anything. So if it's close, hang around, grab at least that 1 point and go past regulation.
All right, Matt, anything here you like? Winnipeg, Boston.
It was going to be a pass, but I might throw a couple bucks on the draw. I think you guys made great points, and I'm a big proponent of the East-West when teams need points. Unless this is 3-0 in the third, I think, even if it's a 1-goal game, you get a little pushback, you tie it up, and then both teams just kind of coast until overtime. So I'll throw a couple bucks on the draw, but that's it for me.
All right. As far as props, it's a great goaltending matchup of USA Olympic teammates tonight. Connor Hellebuck and Jeremy Swayman, confirmed goaltenders for their respective teams. I mean, we have to bet the red-hot Pavel Zacha, do we not? I mean, he's been absolutely outstanding for the Bruins. Back-to-back games with a goal and getting a good price, too, still with Zacha here in this game tonight. He's been, obviously, he's had these little spurts before in the past where, he could go in a little bit of a slump. But then when he starts to heat up, he can go on a decent little run as far as putting the puck in the net. He is certainly doing that right now for the Boston Bruins. I was surprised to see DraftKings is offering up a plus 310 there with Pavel Zacha. Very good price for someone that scored in back-to-back games. Gabe Vilardi, he's someone that scored now in 2 of the last 5 for this Jets team, plays top power play. So there's something to look at as well. Me with Boston, with Husnudinov on the top line, we're still betting him even though he hasn't necessarily come through for us in that spot. And Fraser Minton still on the top line as well with Pasternak. Can't help but think that's worth a look as well. All right, New York Rangers and Columbus Blue Jackets. We've got Columbus minus 220 home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. It's back-to-back for both of these teams. Obviously, we saw the Blue Jackets get for Columbus. They played a couple nights ago against Carolina. They were off last night. They beat Carolina 5-1 on Tuesday. Back-to-back for the Rangers. They lost to the New Jersey Devils 6-3 last night in the TNT game. Jonathan Quick got the start last night, so expect Igor Shesterkin tonight. Jet Greaves getting the call once again for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and that's an interesting development considering this is now going to be I believe the 3rd straight start for Jet. And don't forget, Rick Bowness is a coach that when he first got there, he was giving Elvis that opportunity to get his confidence back and really give him the majority of the starts. And now all of a sudden we've seen him give Jet and Jet deserves it. Jet's been great here these last couple of games for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So we'll see how this one plays out. It was a high-scoring game the last time they played each other. I think at 5.5, I'm interested in an over. And if you have a book that's offering a 5.5 pregame, I would look over. But I did grab a 5.5 minus 130 over overnight, but that's gone. There was a DraftKings and FanDuel at juiced 5.5s. Those are gone. They've moved to 6.5 now, most spots. So I would say wait for a 5.5. What I do like pregame, though, and you can bet this now because I still like it at the current price, Columbus team total over 3.5 minus 120. I like that. I think they can get 4 goals. I know it's Igor tonight, and he's had a couple games recently where he's played very well. The Minnesota game stands out. He played pretty well in that 4-2 victory over the Minnesota Wild. He was in net, though, for the game against LA, where LA was able to put 4 on the board for the Kings. And I just find on the back-to-back, it's still not a great defensive team right now in front of the great Igor Shesterkin. So I think Columbus can get 4 here in this one against this Rangers team. So Jackets team total over 3.5. And what I would say with the full game overs. If you didn't bet it overnight like I did, I would wait for the 5.5 to appear. Alex, what do you think here? Rangers, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, I grabbed that Columbus team total as well. I got minus $1.20 earlier today, over 3.5. But I'm also looking at, and someone mentioned in the chat, Addison mentioned in the chat, second period over, 11 straight have cashed with the Rangers. So that's something you don't want to bet now. You're looking at laying minus 170, 175. But pregame, you can bet both teams to score in the second period, plus 142 at FanDuel, and then wait for that second period over to drop down in game. So that's the plan of attack I'll have. Second period over pregame, second period over in game, second period both teams to score pregame, and then Columbus team total for the full game pregame as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it could be Shesterkin over saves kind of night. Tim kind of hinting at that. Good stats from Tim in the chat. I mean, it's amazing. He always talks about he's learning from us, yet he's throwing stuff in the chat every day as far as stats and info, and we're learning stuff from him. So well done by him in the chat. And yes, Rich with a great stat. Rich has been good with posting a lot of these scheduling nuances. 7th game in 11 nights for the Rangers. That is pretty tough, and that is a lot of games here for them over the last 11 days. We'll see how they handle it tonight. Matt, what do you think here in this one, Rangers, Jackets?
This is a perfect same game parlay game. First period, full game, 5.5. So I'll be on that. I think I would lean Columbus here in any capacity. I like the team total over. And then I do have a prop in this game I'll mention a bit later.
All right, there we go. Excellent. All right, as far as props in this game, basically anyone I mentioned for the Rangers, but I don't know how much the Rangers are going to score tonight. Greaves has been good, but I would still say Gabe Perreault, maybe Vladislav Gavrikov. He is a former Blue Jacket, and he's actually been uncanny, but been scoring a bit lately. So maybe a small shot there for Columbus. Mason Marchment on the top line with Fantilli and Marchenko. I'm going to go, I think it's Charlie Coyle's been continued to be great. No issues with looking at him for a goal prop. And I would say maybe this could be a Connor Garland night as well here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Might be worth a look. All right, next up, Chicago and Minnesota. These teams again. It is the second leg of a home-and-home series. We've got Minnesota minus 220, home favorite, 6 the total. Although it was an entertaining game at the United Center between them a couple nights ago. So maybe this one ends up being just as entertaining as well here tonight. So excited to see how this one plays out. This one is interesting. This is definitely a live betting game for me. And it's actually waiting to see who's in net for Chicago, because I don't know if I could look at the Blackhawks, and Alex probably co-signs this with Arvid Soderblom in net. That would make it a lot more difficult. And I have a feeling we might see him tonight, although it hasn't been confirmed as of yet. If it's Soderblom, I'm just going to go, I don't think Minnesota can afford to just, we beat them. We found a way. It was not pretty. We blew a lead. We won in overtime. Now they need a good home game. They need a good home performance at Grand Casino Arena after going 0-2 against the Lesser Lights over the weekend, losing to the Rangers and Leafs in back-to-back home games over the weekend. So I don't know if they'll rest on their laurels that they beat Chicago and they're just going to, fritter this game away, especially knowing that, hey, we're still trying to hang with Dallas and Colorado in the Central Division race, although I don't think they're catching Colorado. I don't even think they're catching Dallas at this point, but they're going to still keep trying to push themselves up toward those top two teams. I'd be interested in the Wild team total over possibly if we get Soderblom in net, but obviously waiting until that's confirmed. For now, no bet pregame. Alex, Wild Blackhawks.
Yeah, most likely going to see Arvid Soderblom in net, and like I said, that changes things. I would be leaning toward a draw if it wasn't going to be him. I still might grab a piece of that plus 345. You look at how crazy of a run the Hawks have been on. You've got 5 of the last 7 games going past regulation. Wild have had 3 of their last 6. We've seen 3 straight meetings, and 4 of the last 7 go past regulation between these two. So at plus 345, I'll have a piece of the draw, but it isn't my favorite draw, despite all those historical parameters. What I do like is the over, minus $1.14, and that's regardless of who's in net for the Hawks. He said Minnesota needs to have a better outing at Grand Casino Arena. They had a rough weekend. They were named. I don't know if you know this, Ian and Matt and viewers. They have the best popcorn of all the arenas in the National Hockey League.
Wow.
Grand Casino Arena. They got that distinction today. I saw that on some local
Extra
news program.
buttery, I assume. If it's the best, it's got to be. Yeah.
It must be. Yeah. So that's what they're celebrating up here down West 7th Street. But I like the over here, and I will have a piece of the draw just based off the history.
Yeah, no question about that. Yeah, like I said, you know what? I think I'm gonna get in on over 6 too because I'm looking at it. It's also a series history over 5 straight. I don't know how I missed this. I handicapped I just totally glossed over this. It's actually been I think 5 straight overs in the series here with the Blackhawks and the Wild, and all 5 of them have had minimum 6, and 4 of the 5 have gotten to 7. So yeah, that's probably going to be. Yeah, this might be the night we get back to a Minnesota over. We've gotten off the train a couple times now, but might be the right time to get back in on an over here with Minnesota tonight in this one. Matt, what do you think here? Chicago, Minnesota.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take a shot here with the over by Fecta separately, not a same game parlay. I know Minnesota's been trending to unders. I think they're like 2-8 in their last 10 to first period unders. I mean, but to both of your points, they need a good start. Do I think Chicago can score in this period as well? Absolutely. So, I like that. A little heavier on the full game over at 6. On the off chance we get like a 1-0 first period, but I'm gonna take a shot with both. You know, not really gonna lay any money on a side or anything here, and I don't think there's a big push for overtime. I think Minnesota wants to win this in regulation. And then, Chicago, if they're up, then, they'll try and close it out. There's no battle for that 1 point for the Blackhawks. So, just over by Fecta for me.
All right, good stuff. Maybe the Tarasenko comes to play tonight because I'm going to take him to score a goal. Back-to-back games with a goal for him entering this game tonight for the Minnesota Wild. Of course, I rip Hartman. He's got to get going. He's ice cold, and he scores right after I do that in the last game for the Minnesota Wild. So I can't say I'm shocked, that happens. What else? Urov looks like he might be with Kaprizov and Boldy here tonight in this one. So if that's the case, I'd probably look in that direction as far as a goal prop is concerned. Maybe Ryan Green, too, because here's what I've said about Ryan Green. This guy with all the opportunity afforded to him, eventually water's going to find the bottom of the well here. And maybe that's going to be the case now. Ryan Green scored last game. You're still playing with, the great Connor Bedard. Eventually I think the puck's going to go in for you if you're up on that line and you're doing the right things. So this could be a chance maybe for Ryan Green to get a little traction going. So I might look at a goal prop for him tonight as well. All right, Seattle, Nashville. Nashville minus 135 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I kind of think Seattle's the right play here. I know Nashville won against Winnipeg the other night. It was a nice win for them, but they had been scuffling before that. Now they go back home. Seattle just got slapped around and dummied at home by Tampa Bay at the end of that homestand. Nikita Kucherov went off for 5 points in that game. Foxhole spot. You get Seattle now going on the road, getting away from home, coming together as a group. Treat this like a business trip. Go on the road and have a better game here tonight. So I'm interested in Seattle. I will have them on my card at plus 115. I like how this sets up for them. I think going on the road could be just what the doctor ordered from them, just what the doctor ordered for them. Because you look at the way they played at home, they had some struggles. Now, the schedule was not easy either. Ottawa, they just lost to Nashville at home recently as well. Seattle 4-2, so it's a little bit of a revenge spot for losing at home 9 days ago. They lost to Colorado at home. They had to play Florida, Tampa Bay at home. So it wasn't the easiest homestand either for the Seattle Kraken as far as strength of schedule. But losing at home to Nashville 8 days ago, I think maybe they get some payback here tonight. So I think I like them here at plus 115 in this game tonight. Joey Decord and UC Saros projected, although not confirmed here in this game. I also like this over quite a bit here in this game. Over 5.5 is still available at minus 135 at DraftKings, minus 134 at FanDuel. You can't argue the overs since Bobby McMahon arrived. Since he's been in the lineup, 3 straight overs for Seattle. They're scoring more goals, and Nashville offensively, they've scored 3 or more in 3 of their last 4 games. And if you actually look at the way things have gone for Nashville recently, as far as home games are concerned, you look at every recent home game, almost all of them have gotten to a minimum of 6 goals. And with this total being 5.5 at a couple of books, I mean, I think 5.5, we can get this thing up and over the total. So Kraken money line and over 5.5 for me here in this one. And yes, yes, Addison, blast Janis Joplin indeed. Bobby McMahon's a must-bet goal prop right now for this Kraken team. Now, we're not getting the bargain bin price anymore with Bobby McMahon. They have made that adjustment at least, but still upwards of plus 270 for a guy that's been on a heater since joining his new team. That's still pretty damn good. Alex, what do you think here? Seattle, Nashville.
Yeah, it's over by factor for me. You can get minus $1.16 at FanDuel. You still get even with the over 6 at $1.10 if you like that pregame. Like I said, 5.5s. 130 said 134, 135. That's still worth betting pregame as well. You can also wait a couple minutes for that to drop down too in the plus money territory. But I will be on the over by factor here.
Yeah, I might turn it into a by factor. I had only bet full game, but I'm seeing what Jonathan's posted here. Seattle 9 of 10 first period over. Nashville 6 of 9. So there you go. There's definitely some numbers that point to first period.
He said Seattle first goal, first period, and 6 of their last 9 too. That's interesting.
And I like Seattle as it is. So first goal, first period. Maybe add a little shekel or two on that. I just might as well with the Kraken first goal. I like these spots, right? They lost to this team at home. You had a bad home loss to end the home stand against. Not bad because Tampa Bay's a good team, but they didn't play well, is what I meant. 6-2 loss to end that homestand to Tampa Bay. You come out ready to go, in my opinion, if you're Seattle.
And at plus 150, that's worth a shot.
That's worth a shot. Yeah, first goal, first period. I'll tack a little bit of that onto the Seattle plus 115. What do you think here, Matt? Seattle, Nashville?
Yeah, I'm on the over by factor as well. Jonathan basically said everything I was going to say. Seattle 9-1. To first period overs, and in all 9 of those games they'd have a goal in the first 10. So I think we see goals early in this one. I think we have no problem getting to 6. So over by factor, that's it for me.
Matthew Wood for Nashville. Wood is good. I think he's worth a shot. He's scored in 3 of the last 5 games for the Predators. I've talked about obviously Bobby McMahon already, but Eric Howell has picked things up a little bit of late for this Nashville team as well. A couple players in good form on their side. For Seattle, other than Bobby McMahon, I'd maybe look at Kakko. Kakko has had a couple of goals in the last few games as well, but the main one for me, obviously, is Mr. Bobby McMahon for the Seattle Kraken, who's been great. All right, well, this almost, I was looking at the card, and I'm like, wow, tonight's it's a Stanley Cup final rematch, and yet it doesn't feel like it. There's no pop to this game because Florida's season has just gone downhill and they're out of it. But it is still the Stanley Cup final rematch of the last 2 Stanley Cup finals, Florida and Edmonton. And I think for one night, you maybe get, Florida not disinterested. They're just not playing well. They got injuries and deflated because of the fact they're not making the playoffs. But I think you get a good effort from Florida tonight. It's still Edmonton, a lot of history with them. I still think they take great pleasure in beating Edmonton. So I think there's still going to be a good effort tonight from Florida. Edmonton minus 160, home favorites, 6.5 the total. That being said, give me Oilers team total over. I think they mean business tonight. And this Florida team defensively has crashed and burned and fallen apart entering this game. And the defensive game has struggled. Paul Maurice with a great quote. We left guys open in front of our goaltender 3 different times. I don't think I've ever seen that, he said, which tells you all you need to know about where Florida's at defensively. There's not that intensity defensively. There's not that focus defensively. They're not dialed into the details of the game, obviously, with where they're at in the standings. And Edmonton's got, even without Leon Draisaitl, and they played great without him against San Jose the other night, they could still make him pay. Bobrovsky's had the down season. He'll be in net tonight for the Panthers. Connor Ingram once again for the Oilers. No surprise. They're going to run with him as long as they keep winning with him in net with Jari's struggles. But like I said, for Bob, 5 goals allowed on just 22 shots in that loss to the Vancouver Canucks the other night. So, yeah, I like Edmonton team total over. I do expect a better effort from Florida, but at the end of the day, you can't probably outperform Edmonton in the effort department tonight. Because Edmonton's always going to be, thinking to themselves, God, we want to beat these guys, with them beating them in the final 2 years in a row. So I like that Oilers team total over. They're giving up goals right now. It's pretty cheap. I'm seeing minus 104 at Pinnacle for that Edmonton team total over 3.5. I think that's a great price on that. Over by Fecta, but the over 1.5, I might try to wait for it a little bit. But again, I'm kind of committing here to looking at Florida as an over team right now. Their defensive game has collapsed. Bobrovsky obviously has had a tough year. They're still at least somewhat capable offensively. And on a night like this, I think they could chip in some offense. And even though Ingram's been a step up from Jari, he's not going to pitch a shutout most of the time. He is going to still give up at least a few, like he did against San Jose. San Jose did score 3 goals in that game, and it went over the total. So over by Fecta and Edmonton team total over are the main looks here for me. Alex, Panthers, Oilers.
This is a pass for me. And that Maurice quote would kind of steered me away from what I was looking at, because I like the Edmonton team total as well, just off of the theory that, okay, Edmonton's still fighting for their playoff lives, needing points, playing against the team that they should be seeing red against when Florida come into town. But now, you like said, for Maurice, he's aware that this team's not playing well defensively. This may be the night where he tries to get them kind of to right the ship on that back end. So I'm worried about the goal scoring early here. This is one I can wait for. And if I see where it looks like it's wide open, I can jump in and grab something. If not, I can just pass it. It's a big card. So nothing for me pregame.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there was a great quote. Here it is. I found it. The goals we gave up tonight are just so unusual for us, said Paul Maurice. We've got that puck on our stick, and we've got to get those clears, but we left guys alone 3 different times tonight in front of our net. I don't ever remember seeing that. Tells you how good they've been, obviously, at shutting teams down, holding leads, and just playing the right way defensively these last couple seasons. And we're not seeing a Panthers team resembling that Florida team in the last 2 years right now at the defensive end. Matt, what do you think here, Florida, Edmonton?
Yeah, I don't know. This may be a pass game for me. Maybe I'll tune in and try and get a live over or something, but initially probably a pass for me.
All right, as far as goal props here for this one, I would say for Florida, with still all the injuries, of course, keep in mind, it looks like Reinhart's out. Looks like Bennett will play here tonight, but still no Sam Reinhart. Marchand's obviously out indefinitely. So there's been some tweaking going on as far as the top 6 for the Panthers. Looks like tonight it's going to be Verhaeghe, Bennett, Tkachuk, Luostarinen, Lundell, and we've got Jesper. I think it's a good night to bet Jesper Boquist. He's moving up to the second line here for Florida. And you know what he can do sometimes when he gets the opportunity in the top 6? He can produce for you. So it might be a good Jesper Boquist night as far as a goal prop is concerned. For the Oilers, they've got Savoy and Podkolzin now flanking McDavid tonight. So whether it's Savoy, Podkolzin, both, you got to think both of them are worth looks toward goal props tonight. Maybe Roslovic, too, with Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. The new look now, of course, some adjustments from Chris Knobloch because of the absence of Leon Draisaitl. All right, Buffalo and San Jose. We've got Buffalo minus 140, road favorite, 6.5, the total here in this one. San Jose returning home from a very lengthy road trip. And it always seems to be Buffalo that's caught them in these spots over the years. How many times has San Jose come back from a long road trip, and that first game back home, it's fucking Buffalo? It's not even a team in the Western Conference. It's an out-of-conference team, and it's Buffalo that gets the opportunity to feast on a San Jose team back home off a very long road trip. And that's indeed the case. 5 straight on the road. It started the road trip for San Jose in Buffalo, where they lost 6-3. They beat Boston and Montreal back-to-back following that, and then they lost the last 2 of the road trip against Ottawa and Edmonton. But still, you would think a bit of a tricky spot here for San Jose here in this one against Buffalo. Alex Lyon will be in net here for the Sabres tonight after the gem from UPL in the victory against Vegas. Alex Nedeljkovic in net for San Jose with Ask About Me, Yaroslav Askarov, still out due to his injury. So Nedeljkovic gets another start here in this one. Buffalo first goal, first period, I'm kind of interested in because it is San Jose off the road trip. Those are usually spots where I like to target the opponent to get on the board first. So I'll go Buffalo first goal, first period. I'm not going to take Buffalo at this price, though, pregame minus 140. I mean, they do I'd prefer Buffalo first period puck line in this game. I might dabble in that, too. Stay off the full game because the first period is where San Jose could be at their most vulnerable. that first 20 minutes of play when you've been out east on the road for as long as they have. So maybe that's probably what I'll be targeting here. Sabres first goal, first period, and Sabres puck line first period to get that plus price. You can get Buffalo first period puck line -0.5 around plus 145, plus 150 actually in some spots as well. Yeah, Alex Tuch doesn't look like he's in here tonight for Buffalo. I think he's going to miss this game, it looks like, for the Sabres. But yeah, Buffalo early more than anything here. And we'll maybe, I don't know if I want to get in on overs because Alex Lyon's going for some kind of road win streak record that he's approaching. So I think Buffalo is going to probably want to play a good game in front of him to help him get there. So that's another thing to factor in. That's why I'm staying off the total here pregame. Alex, what do you think? Buffalo, San Jose.
Yeah, it's a live game for me. I will take a stab at that Buffalo first goal, first period. That's just always a solid look. And like you said, San Jose, historically, off of a long road trip back home, things can be a tad bit dicey. So we can at least start off with that Sabres first goal, first period, and then kind of have some live looks going from there.
I love that angle with Toffoli and Will Smith benched, at the end of the Sharks' third period against the Oilers. And Ryan Warsofsky with his players and with the refs, you could tell he was angry. That's about as angry as I've ever seen him. He had some anger going the other night, the young Ryan Warsofsky. So that's the one concern is I could see San Jose, after a rough end of the road trip playing a hard game tonight, but it's still tough when you're coming back home after being away that long. But yeah, Toffoli and Will Smith, to play better, play harder tonight after getting, riding the pine at the end of that game against Edmonton. That's definitely an angle that's worth considering. And LJ in our chat saying the Sabres first period money line 10-2 on the road versus the West. So that's and that's now with the situation even more in their favor, catching the Sharks off the road trip. So that's why I think that Sabres first period puck line is a good approach here in this one. Matt, what do you think here? Buffalo, San Jose.
Yeah, this is the same game parlay that I've liked since I saw the card. So it's plus 100 on Caesars. First period over 1.5, full game over 5.5. I think we see some goals in this one.
All right, good stuff. And as far as props for this game, I'm looking at the lineups. I'm going to go back to the well with Misa and Graf. You just have to for San Jose. They've been pretty good for them of late, and I could see that being the case here once again tonight. Going into this game. On the Buffalo side of the equation here, you look at their goal props tonight. Whoever's going to be with Thompson and Benson. Benson I like because he's with Thompson, but whoever's going to take that spot worth a look. We got Josh Doan, Josh Norris, Noah Ostlund on the second line tonight. So looks like there could be some value with both Ostlund and Matty Rob's guy here, Josh Doan. So keep an eye on that as well. If he plays on the second line, there could be some a decent value there. All right, next up, we've got Utah and Vegas. What we'll do is we'll preview this game. Matt's going to have to run not long after this, so we'll get the rest of the card from him, his bargain bin and best bet right after this game because he's got a meeting, it looks like, coming up at the bottom of the hour. But Utah-Vegas, we've got Vegas -130, home favorites, 6 the total here in this one. Vegas with a disappointing shutout loss to the Buffalo Sabres the other night. The aforementioned Buffalo Sabres getting a 2-0 victory over Vegas. UPL was outstanding in that game. I don't think Vegas played a bad game. They just couldn't score. They just couldn't finish their chances. And UPL played a really strong game in net for Vegas there. We'll see if Utah can bounce back, if Vegas rather can bounce back. Utah doesn't have to bounce back because Utah won their last game against Matt's Dallas Stars 6-3. A nice win for the Mammoth. In that game on the road, they'll look to build on it. Utah did not have a great homestand. They lost twice to Chicago at home. They lost to Pittsburgh after having a 2-0 lead. But you look at what they've done on the road. They beat the Washington. They beat Philadelphia. They beat Columbus. They beat Dallas. They've been a better road team lately, the Utah Mammoth. We'll see if they can carry forward that recent road success here to T-Mobile Arena. It's worth noting last year, the last time they played here in Vegas, they had a lot of success against the Golden Knights. 6-0 they beat them the last time they made the trip here to a T-Mobile Arena. I'm going to take Utah, man, plus 110. I mean, dare Vegas to A, score, and B, show you can beat someone other than Chicago and other than, well, they did beat Pittsburgh, but yeah, which is solid. That's still the only win they've had since November against a team currently in a playoff spot. Last I checked, Utah is currently in a playoff spot. So you're talking about a team, Vegas, that's got one measly victory since November against a team currently in a playoff spot. So I think Utah at this price, it's calling my name. I like Utah here, plus 110. Alex, what do you think here? Mammoth, Golden Knights.
This is another draw that I bet last night. I grabbed plus 315. That price is still available offshore at Bet Online, but this is one where I think it's definitely a classic draw season spot. Both teams needing the points desperately. Like you said, Vegas haven't been playing well against upper tiered opponents. You have to step up at home and at least secure a point here in this game if you're Vegas. And I think they should be able to do that. So plus 315 on the draw for me.
Yeah, draw's not a bad candidate. I could see this being a game that requires overtime. I do expect it to be close. What do you think here, Matt? Utah, Vegas.
I'm taking a shot with Utah as well. Just can't trust Vegas right now, giving me plus money. Utah not really in a position to catch anybody, but they definitely want to keep that top wildcard spot. I think anyone that's looking at the West, if you can avoid the Central Division as a wild card, you'll do it. So I know they're not super at risk there, but any points they can get, they'll take. And Vegas has just not been in good form.
Oh, they have two. Oh yeah, Detroit. Oh yeah, that's right, Detroit. They came back to beat Detroit in that game. That was a phony win because Detroit gave it. That was on the bet, our last bet cast. They sat back in the third with a 3-1 lead and paid the price for it. The Red Wings. So yeah, 2 wins against teams currently in a playoff spot since November. I forgot about that one. But yeah, and they're favored against a team in a playoff spot. So yeah, and Utah's been better on the road lately. Now there's an interesting decision Andre Tourigny is going to have to make tonight because he gave Vitek Vanacek the start against Dallas. Vejmelka's kind of been fighting the puck lately. Hasn't been at his best, let's put it that way. He gives Vanacek the start against Dallas. Vanacek played pretty well in that and got the win, obviously, against Dallas. Does he roll back to Vanacek here or because he ride the hot hand because he played well against Dallas, or does he go back to Vejmelka and give him a chance here tonight? We don't know yet. So that's why. And another thing, too, I want to point out, Aiden Hill hasn't been confirmed yet. And even though Vegas has had a tough time stringing wins together, it's not been because of Hill lately. Hill struggled initially when he first came back. He's been very good lately. You can't blame him for the Buffalo loss. He played well. He only gave up 1 goal. The second goal was in an empty net. So, if it's Schmid getting the start here for Vegas, I probably like Utah more if that's the case. Because actually, Hill's played pretty well of late for Vegas, even though they haven't always gotten the victories in those games. So that's another something to point out. Prop-wise for this Utah-Vegas game, Lawson Krause, because he's still on the top line, I would look at for the Utah Mammoth. That's the main one that stands out for me here in this game. Hard to bet a ton of Vegas props because, boy, their offense has been kind of disappointing of late. Okay, so Matt is going to have to get on out of here in a few minutes. So we will go through the remaining 2 games on this Thursday card with him, starting with Tampa Bay and Vancouver, where we have Tampa Bay minus 300 road favorites, and that is of significance that they're a minus 300 favorite because that means our system play is in effect, where we bet the dog to score in the first period. And I actually am going to do it this time. The last time, I thought about doing it because Vancouver was in the system and I didn't, and they still scored in the first period of that game. And I think Alex kind of liked it, and I didn't bet it. I'm going to bet it this time. Vancouver goal in the first period, and they are actually showing a little flicker of life here the last couple games, Vancouver on home ice. Obviously, this won't be easy with Tampa Bay coming in, but, Vancouver with the win against Florida 5-2. They also scored in the first period against Seattle, despite losing that game 5-2. They scored in the first period against Nashville the game before that. So they've actually scored in the first period in 3 straight games. So we'll go to the system here. Vancouver goal in the first period. This is an over for me as well. First period, full game over. The Canucks are starting to get into that over run again where they're giving up goals, but they're starting to score some. So give me the over by Fecta. Matt, what do you think here? Tampa Bay, Vancouver.
Yeah, I'm on the first period over. I think Vancouver's like 8-2, mostly giving up goals, but maybe they chip in given the system play. But that's the only play for me in this one. First period over.
All right, first period over for Matt with that one. All right, last game for this Thursday NHL slate, Philadelphia Flyers, Los Angeles Kings. It looks like we've got LA minus 170 home favorites. The total here at 5.5, 6 across the board, it looks like here in this one. This is an interesting spot here because for Los Angeles, they're back home off a very lengthy Eastern road trip, which ended, of course, earlier this week against the New York Rangers, a game that they were victorious 4-1 in that game. We'll see how they fare here now back home tonight at Crypto.com Arena against the Philadelphia Flyers. It was a 5-game road trip. They have had a couple days off, but as we know, that's not always easy. I'm going to go back to the well with a bet I won with last night. I'm going to see if I can win with it again because it fits this game too. Flyers first goal, first period. That I think, they could jump on the Kings early. Kings off the road. That's what Philly did to Anaheim last night, getting on the board in the first 3 minutes. So that first goal, first period, I like for Philly. I'm on the full game over 5.5. And I like it because now we got the weaker goaltender tonight for Philly. We got Vladar last night against the Ducks. Sam Ersson is going to be in net tonight for Philadelphia. He's the weaker goalie. And we know LA is still playing more pace, more tempo, a little more, up and down style of game. I know their last game stayed under, and that's significant because one thing I want to point out, they have had a couple unders since the coaching change, since DJ Smith took over, but LA has not had 2 straight unders since the coaching change. So no LA games have gone back-to-back under since the coaching change. If that were to happen tonight, it would be the first time that back-to-back Kings games since the coaching change has gone under. I don't think that's going to happen here. So I like over 5.5 here. I like Philly first goal, first period. And yeah, give me the draw. It's East versus West. Flyers are a draw machine right now. 3 straight overtime games for Philly. 6 of the last 10 for the Flyers have gone past regulation as well. So the draw is worth a look here as well. Matt, what do you think? Flyers Kings.
Let's take a shot with Flyers team total over 2.5 in this one. And I think the full game over is worth a look as well.
Yeah, I had not moved on Philly, Jonathan, but that's maybe convincing me to maybe consider doing so. Now, I don't love Ersson, though. That's the problem. I might go Flyers team total over and just to skew the money line because I don't trust Ersson, quite honestly. Not fully yet for the Flyers. So I think Flyers team total. If I were to bet Flyers, I like the team total over more than the full game. But that is a good stat. 0-3. For the Kings in their first game after a road trip of 5 games or more. And as we know, they've been awful. Now, this was Jim Hiller Kings, but those Kings before the coaching change have been brutal as bigger home favorites this season. So even, with the, increased energy we've seen out of the Kings, I'm not interested in laying minus 170 with them. It looks like Adrian Kempe is a maybe here for tonight. Game time decision, it looks like, for the Kings. Matt's got to go. Shit, I would have gotten his best bet in bargain bin. You know what I'll do? I'll get it from him. And he had to go. I thought it was 3:30, but that's okay. We'll get a bargain bin. Check the Patreon page. We'll have it up there later. His bargain bin special and his best bet for this Thursday slate. All right, Tampa Bay, Vancouver. Back around to Alex's thoughts on it. Alex, What do you like in here? Tampa, Vancouver.
Well, like I said, it's a system, so we got to run back with Vancouver to get a goal in the first period, get that minus $1.12. But I'm going to take a shot with both teams to score plus 185 pregame, and then maybe wait for that first period over to drop down because I'm seeing minus 132 at FanDuel. I'm trying to wait and grab plus money with that. So first period over live, both teams to score pregame along with Canucks to get a goal in the first period pregame, not going first goal, first period. And I might take a small sprinkle with the correct score in the first period. 2-1 Tampa plus 1,100. Would not shock me one bit to see maybe Lightning score first, Vancouver score second, and then the Lightning get out of that period with the lead. So everything first period centric with that contest.
All right, there we go. And like I said, even I'm jumping on Vancouver to score in the first period. Even I'm going to do that here tonight against Tampa Bay. And it looks like, by the way, Lankinen in net for Vancouver. I assume it's going to be Vasi again for Tampa Bay, but that's not confirmed as of yet. But it's looking like it could be that way. All right, and Philly, LA, I already mentioned it. I like Philly first goal, first period. I'm probably going to add Philly team total over 2.5 rather than the money line just because I'm a little leery of Ersson. I could see LA scoring, and I do like that over 5.5 here in this spot with the Kings, who have not had back-to-back unders since DJ Smith took over as interim head coach. Alex, what do you think here? Philly, LA.
I might wait live for the over, but I do like the draw here. Plus 327. Like you mentioned, Philly's been absolutely electric with these games going past regulation. So have the Kings all year long. So this definitely lines up for a good draw spot.
All right, there you go. Great stuff. Was there any props I liked in the late games? Let me just do a quick check. Oh, yeah, Marco Rossi. Got to ride the wave. He's heating up for Vancouver. North of plus 400 for him to find the back of the net. I like it. I don't mind what our guy here in the chat, Myron, is saying. Drew O'Connor, he's been good for the Canucks. He's scored in a couple of games lately for them. Gonçalves is someone that's worth a shot, maybe for Tampa Bay as well, with what we've seen of late. So those are the goal props I'm eyeing there, Lightning and Canucks. On the for the Flyers-Kings game, I'm looking at the lineups right now. I would say for LA, we'll see if Kempe plays, and that could obviously change the look of the lineup. But if it's not Kempe, I'm seeing maybe Matthew Joseph could be with Kopitar and Panarin. If that's the case, you got to look at Matthew Joseph. But again, Kempe could take that spot if he does play tonight. So hold off on that till we get the lineup confirmation for LA. Moore and LaFerriere with Byfield. Both of those players could be worth a look. Alex Bump could be on the top line with Dvorak and Konechny. So Alex getting the bump up to the top line for Philly. That friggin' joke's going to get old. I can probably already tell it is. But there you go. Alex Bump maybe some value for him if he does indeed play on the top line for Philadelphia tonight. Great stuff. Great show. Appreciate everyone joining us. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com. It is a great time of year. NCAA tournament underway. Daily premium picks. You can get 3-day, 7-day, 30-day, 1-year all sports, all access passes as well. wizardsportspicks.com. Number one for me, by the way, NHL and college basketball this season on the website. So make sure you check it out. And of course, patreon.com/iceguys, $10 per month. We're closing in on 400 Patreons. Help us make it happen. We're getting close to that 400 mark. Again, you'll get goalie charts, totals charts. Thanks to our guy, Jonathan Davis, the numbers guru, the stat man of our group, if you will. He sent along a great chart with the updated numbers for the underdogs and how they fared against minus 300 or greater favorites as far as goal scoring and first period, both teams to score, and results like that with that system play. And I posted that chart exclusively for our Patreon members on the Patreon Ice Guys page. So make sure you check that out. And of course, as always, you get the daily betting card, sides, totals, player props every day on the Patreon page. And again, your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. The $50 discount offer for the Dub Club subscription with me is still up there too, to take advantage of for any Patreon Ice Guys members as well. So again, $10 per month. Check it out, patreon.com/iceguys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Weather's been up and down crazy all over the country. There's some places where you still need jackets and hoodies and winter hats. There's some places where you can break out the tank tops or the T-shirts or get the trucker caps going. We've got all of those items and more covered for you over at the Ice Guys store. So check it on out today. That's over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, great stuff indeed. Make sure you check that out. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, it is time for Bargain Bin Special of the night. Big Thursday slate. Lots, obviously, to choose from for Bargain Bin Special. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain Bin Special of the night.
Yeah, we got a pair of them. We're going to go to the same game right up the street, Grand Casino Arena. You got the Blackhawks taking on the Wild. We will first start with the home team. the Minnesota Wild. And a guy who is slated to be back in the lineup finally, slated in for Robbie Fabry is going to be out, and Bobby Brink looks to be headed back into the lineup. You can get him anytime goal scorer plus 430 over at FanDuel. So that's first bargain bin special. Bobby Brink of the Minnesota Wild, anytime goal plus 430. For the visiting Chicago Blackhawks, we're going to go with one Andre Burakovsky plus 440. Now, he's had a rough season. There's been games where you couldn't find him with a telescope at all, games where he's had chances and just completely whiffed on them. I think he finds the back of the net tonight. You can get that anytime goal scorer price plus 440 at FanDuel. So that'd be my second bargain bin, Andre Burakovsky. Bobby Brink for Minnesota, Burakovsky for Chicago. It's my two bargain bin specials for this Thursday night.
All right, there you go. Bobby Brink, Andre Burakovsky, a pair of bargain bin specials for Alex here on this Thursday NHL slate. Bargain bin special for me. Let me just quickly do a glance because I was still mulling it over here on the show as we were getting. I'm going to go with Zacha. Zacha's plus 310 at DraftKings. Back-to-back games. He's been red hot for the Bruins. Yeah, give me Pavel Zacha plus 310 for the Boston Bruins for my first bargain bin special of the night. And the second one, I know it's Tampa Bay, the opponent, but Marco Rossi's feeling it. And when he gets on a run, he can go on a run for a bit. You know, Terry Edelman, our good friend of the program and Minnesota Wild fan, knows that very well. So plus 410 at Bet Rivers for Marco Rossi for Vancouver for my second bargain bin. So there you go. Pavel Zacha, Boston plus 310, and Marco Rossi, Vancouver plus 410 for my bargain bin specials for this Thursday night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
We are fully entrenched in draw season, and my favorite draw play of the day is my best bet, and that's Montreal and Detroit. Now, we've been talking about this for quite some time throughout the years, where sometimes you'll find a discrepancy in price between three-way line draw and will a game go to overtime, yes or no. If you go to FanDuel, you go to the Montreal-Detroit game, you can get yes, will there be overtime at plus 340. It is much better than the 290 they're dealing on the three-way line. So, yes, game to go overtime, plus 340 at FanDuel for the Habs and the Red Wings. That is my best bet for Thursday.
All right, good stuff indeed. There you go. I like it. There we go. It is draw season. This is the time of year not to be scared. If you're scared, go to church. Scared money don't make money. All those old sayings. This is the time of year. Don't be scared of those draws, man. Not especially coming off a night like last night where 4 of the 6 games end up going past regulation. Embrace it. Embrace the draw times right now. No question. All right, I'm going to go with this for best bet. I think it's 7 or 8. It's one of the two, but it's, I believe, 7 or 8 straight home games for the Nashville Predators where there's been a minimum of 6 goals in the game. We've talked about it with Seattle. A little more of an offensive jolt that their lineup has been given with the addition of Bobby McMahon and the way he's played. We're talking about 5.5 here at FanDuel with this total. I will go with that for my best bet. We'll go Seattle, Nashville, over 5.5, minus 135 for my best bet here for this Thursday NHL slate. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And like I said, looking forward to this Thursday night NHL slate. We've already got wall-to-wall NCAA tournament basketball going on, so it's a heck of a day to be a sports fan and a sports bettor. Very much looking forward to the rest of the day ahead, both NCAA tournament and NHL. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. We'll get Matt Robinson's bargain bin specials and best bet posted on the Patreon page later. Yeah. So if you're a Patreon Ice Guy, that's my fault. That's the producer's fault, a.k.a. me. I thought he was good to go till 30 past the hour, but it was 15. But we'll get the bargain bin and best bet up there on the Patreon page from Matt later on today when the card gets posted. All right, we're out of here. For Alex B. Smith and for Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We will be back with you tomorrow on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.